I've been thinking about recording a bit of a about me, something to just pin to my YouTube page so people know about me. Um, it's difficult, I think, for a lot of people. Like, it's difficult for me to just like sit here and talk about myself. Um, Especially in like a positive light. I feel if anything, it's easier to be self-deprecating 100% of the time. So if I end up doing a bit of that, I apologize if it's, you know, not interesting or easy to listen to, whatever. I apologize in advance. I record these videos on a laptop that's from probably 2017, 2016. I don't even know anymore. It's old. I can't currently afford better. I'm working on that. I'm not really stressing it either. I live a very simple life. I make do with what I have, no matter what the circumstances. I don't necessarily need more. I don't want more out of life. I'm not somebody that's extremely materialistic in any way. I don't drive. I've never driven. I'm not legally licensed. I have tried it a little bit, back when I was considering learning it, but it gives me a tremendous amount of anxiety, which I already have. It just makes it worse. So it's become like a kind of a well-known standard for me that I'm probably never going to be able to drive. It frightens me. I'm flinchy even as a passenger in cars, and I just don't think that I'm somebody that can be, liable for being behind a 2-ton death machine. A lot of responsibility. It's also very expensive, which is something I could never afford. Um, so anyway, to backtrack a little bit, let me kind of just start from as early as I can. My name is Jeff. That's why the name on my thing is Jeff Skibbs. Skibbs is a nickname. It might as well be my name though. Skibbs, Skibby, whatever you want to call me. People have called me at all. Even Skids, Mr. Skins, Skid Mark, all that stuff. I don't give a shit. Mrs. Skibbs, whatever. People are trolls. People sometimes just don't understand. It's all in good fun. But yeah, I'm Jeff. I'm roughly 40 years old. Believe it or not, I've been gaming pretty much most of my life. I've been on the internet pretty much most of my life. Even though I did not have a very wealthy upbringing, I was lucky enough to have access to computers and the internet from a very young age. I think my first Windows was either Windows 3.1 or 3.5. For sure, it was 3.5, if not 3.1. I think my first web browser was Netscape Navigator, if anybody remembers what that was. And the internet was very primitive back then, but you could use it to download cheats for solitaire and stuff, and you could spend about a half hour downloading fake porn, which is funny to think that like people are still deep faking porn like 35 years later. The only thing that's really gotten better is the quality a little bit, I guess. Not really. I don't know. It's fucking silly. But nothing's really changed in 35 years. People are still just downloading cheats for video games that you don't really need cheats for. Like I said, solitaire or something. You could like see the next card in the list. It was like a dumb thing. Um, but yeah, like AOL, all that good stuff. All the good old days. Um, dial-up internet when you know, you try to call people's house and you got the internet, an obnoxious internet sound. You knew you were never getting hold of somebody. Times were very weird back then. I've been through lots of different consoles: Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Sony PlayStation 1, you know, various Game Gear, Game Boys, GBA SP, best handheld device of all time. I just want to say that hands down. Um, just an iconic piece of hardware, packed. I loved that thing. I wish I still had one. But again, I'm not a very materialistic person, so a lot of my possessions from when I was younger, I sold off or lost or gave away. They're gone. And honestly, good riddance. Just having to manage and have a lot of stuff, it's not for someone like me. The few things that I do hold on to, I do find it often annoying to have to deal with them when I do. Like stuff like that in the background, it just floats around in like a box somewhere, and I just shoved it on the wall because I don't wear it or do anything with it really. But yeah, so I don't really enjoy materialistic things. I have never been good at maintaining stuff like that, maintaining accounts, old emails, my Xbox account that had all my games and all my gamer score and stuff on it. That's gone. I can't recover that. I find it funny that a lot of people are getting pissed off at Ubisoft, but yeah, Microsoft does the same shit. I can't recover that account. They said it's deactivated entirely. Even if I did have the stuff, my ability to recover it probably would be very slim. So, you know, it is what it is. Um, but aside from gaming and internet history and just, you know, being a part of this basically my whole life, which is why I'm somewhat comfortable just filming myself and putting it online. Like I really just I don't care. Um, but when I was a kid, I was about 6 years old. I got Lyme's disease. It took them a few weeks to discover what it was. It got pretty bad to the point that I couldn't really walk anymore. They treated it. I was able to beat it. I obviously was able to get my ability to walk back. But unfortunately, it left long-lasting effects on my life. I have a number of like muscular instabilities or inadequacies that just pop up and create long-lasting issues. Flat feet. I basically have like arthritis in my knees and my hands, but they've tested for it numerous times and get nothing. But I have instances where my knees just buckle out of nowhere, or they're in tremendous amount of pain. Or my hands, I'll just drop things. Same. I have problems manipulating my hands and using the controller sometimes these days, and especially with the keyboard. That's why I stick to controller, because it's at least easier to manipulate than like the keyboard and mouse at times. And that sucks, but it is what it is, you know. I have a partial tear in my main rotator cuff. I've had a hernia repair, inguinal hernia, so I've got like a number of complications, you know, in places that really don't need to. No, I don't wish them on anyone. It's constant pain that I've pretty much had to deal with for the better part of 20 years, and I'll probably have to deal with for the rest of my life. Um, because of this, you know, I have, you know, it's adding to my anxiety. I have um, severe anxiety disorder. I have severe depression disorder, which is like a weird thing for me because like I don't feel depressed most of the time. I feel fine, but I can recognize where they're coming from. But at the same time, a lot of the problems that I may or may not be depressed about are things that come from like not having Lyme's disease recognized as a serious condition, or the problems that follow up afterwards. I am constantly just disregarded about my issues. I get constantly treated like I'm making up the pain that I'm in, that my issues aren't real, even though I have medical documentation for a majority of it now, which I didn't for most of my life, but now I do. And even having it, I've been told numerous times by the government to apply for disability, because even though I may not have one condition that will ensure me disability, I have a number of conditions that, when combined with other conditions, will make up enough to get disability. So I've been fighting for disability for like the last 4, 5 years. I've been denied, forced to appeal, reapply for different forms. There's a SSI, SSDI, two different forms of SSI. I don't know anymore what I'm applying for. I don't understand anymore. All I can tell you is that the conditions that I do have, which are in mass, I didn't even get to all of them. Chronic sinusitis, pretty severe allergies, which I basically am forced to take allergy medicine for the rest of my life as well, all every day, which I've been doing anyway, majority of my life. But taking a bunch of medications is really not good for you. It takes a toll on you in the long run. I would like to not have to take any medications. But yeah, it is what it is. So chronic sinusitis, allergies, sleep apnea, which comes from a number of reasons. The trouble from breathing from the sinusitis. I have poor circulation, constantly waking up in pain or discomfort because like my muscles are all cramped or out of. It's just like a whole thing that sucks. So like it's not even just like a breathing thing. I can make it through the night without having to wake up to pee or trouble breathing, plenty. But more often than not, I wake up and my arm is fucking dead. But I think a lot of people have to deal with shit like that. So it's like a weird thing because like I have like these conditions that like on the surface you don't really notice, and when I talk about it, it's kind of similar to a lot of people. Oh, it hurts when I'm on my feet for a long time, yeah, stuff like that. Oh, it hurts when I do this or that, or I get uncomfortable when I sleep or I have trouble breathing. It's like, yeah, who doesn't? Everybody has a lot of these issues. Um, but yeah, again, I feel like uh, it's really hard for me to express because it's stuff that I've just been forced to kind of overlook and deal with and repress for so long. It's hard for me to really verbalize the impact that they have on my life. But uh, speaking of my life, going in further, I did not graduate high school. I was expelled. I was expelled for reasons that were really stupid that the school is no longer allowed to expel people for. I wish it was something I fought a little bit more in the back in the day. I think that's the school that I went to eventually got sued for practices like that. Um, I got in trouble one time because a male teacher followed me into the bathroom and grabbed my shoulder while I was at the urinal. And I was like, I said some stupid shit like, yo, are you trying to look at my dick or something? He went to the principal, said that I called him a dick, his word against mine. Imagine that, a teacher following you into the bathroom and grabbing your shoulder at the urinal, and you getting in trouble for it, not him. It was very weird and off-putting, and it was like stuff like that just like the school, it was like me versus the school. I got in trouble for stealing someone's wallet once. I didn't steal any wallet. Never stole any wallet. The class that I supposedly stole it from, I actually cut that class because it was gym class, and I didn't really like participating in gym class that year. It was pointless. So I actually had to admit that I cut the class to get out of getting accused of a felony because apparently the kid had his parents' credit cards in his wallet because he was supposed to go Christmas shopping with a member of the family or something after school that day. Some crazy shit that they were trying to accuse me of stealing this credit cards, his parents' credit cards. So I had to say, look, I cut the class. Straight up, I cut that class. You're gonna have to go. You can go check with the teacher that I wasn't even in that class that day, and whatever. And I'm just gonna eat it. And that was strike two, and then strike three. I had a cell phone, which was turned off at the bottom of my school bag. I didn't use my locker. That's why it was not in my locker. I did not even know the combination for my locker, so I couldn't use the locker if I wanted to. But it was off. It was at the bottom of my bag. It was turned off. But I also had a Tylenol Cold. A Tylenol Cold that was not approved through the nurse with my mother. There was not like a note or permission or something. So what they wrote me up for was possession of illegal narcotics on school property and use of a cell phone. So that was strike three, and I was expelled from the school entirely, and it was all bullshit. So that did not set me up very well for life, considering I have all these health problems. I did not manage to get a proper education. I've basically had to self-educate myself in all things that I know at this point, which I'm not going to claim that they are a numerous amount of things that I know, but I'm not a completely unintelligent person. I have a good amount of common sense, I believe. So a majority of the jobs that I worked from the time that I was a teenager till about when I was 35 when I stopped working, it was about 20 years, about 15, 16 when I started working for family at a pizza shop. And it was in that time that I was working for that uncle when I was about 17, 18 that I noticed the shoulder problems, that I had the problem with the hernia. So again, and these I'm still in pain from these things for 20 years later. They can't fix them. They can try to do further surgeries, but they can only potentially make it worse in trying to make it better. So the basic advisory that I have is to just try not to fuck shit up, right? I have to take it easy. And that's what I had to deal with for the rest of my life. So I have these health issues that that I shouldn't have actually been working laborious jobs through for 20 years, but I did anyway as a means to an end. I never made more than just paycheck to paycheck. I've never been able to create a savings. I've never had credit. I've never been able to establish credit. I've basically just been behind from childhood. When I got Lyme's disease, I was set back, and I've never been able to catch up. And it's difficult because, like, what can I really say about the country we live in? The education system that we have as a whole, it's shit. We need reforms across the board in education. We need reforms across the board in healthcare. We need reforms across the board in the structure of our government. Everything's corrupt, everything's broken, and nothing is good. Nothing is good enough. And I think it sucks that people like me who it's not like I haven't tried. I've tried so hard in spite of the things that I had to deal with. I'm not healthy. It's not easy for me to deal with some of the things that I have to deal with and still have to deal with working 17 hours a day for 20 years of my life and only just barely be able to get by. Have have nothing to show for it. Um, but yeah, that's the gist of it. So I'm 40. I'm sick of all that bullshit. I'm tired of putting myself through stress and misery. Thankfully, I have a friend who is willing to let me stay in his house and take advantage of the fact that he was luckier in life in some aspects and doesn't have to worry about financial things as much. Um, and it enables me to deal with my health concerns and, a pursuit of more. Because I don't know, I ultimately don't know what to do. Um, I consider going back and forcing myself through pain and misery and working to just barely get by, just so I can have some money. But ultimately, like, I don't need a lot. I don't need a lot, and I don't really want a lot. Like, I don't need to own a lot of things. I don't want to own a lot of things. I don't want to have to deal with them or be responsible for them either. But maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe I do. And it's just that I don't know how. And I've never been given a chance or the opportunity to learn or the proper, the proper benefits of life. Just, you know, um, just opportunities, I think is the word I'm looking for. Um, but yeah, what are we at? We're at 22 minutes now. I think that's more than enough rambling. If anybody has any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I'll try to answer as many as possible. I really have nothing to hide about myself. I don't care anymore. Like I do and I don't. Like I just want things to get better. I just want this world to get better. I just want to be happy and I just want to be able to live a comfortable life with what I've got and what I'm capable of. So, thanks for listening if you did. I appreciate you. Please like and subscribe. It will really help out a lot. Share if you took anything from this. I don't know, any sort of value, any sort of anything. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. So I'm just gonna end it here. But maybe I'll get around to uploading this and putting it on my page. I don't know how I feel about it right now. But yeah, peace. See you around in my videos, hopefully. Or in the comments section. Because I won't actually see you in my videos.